start again. It's a rich thing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Corgi Town, USA. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokescorg, and of course I am Candy, and with us,
I am Kat.
Cat Napoli. Napoli. I never say it right. Napoli.
Ah,
Cat Napoli.
ah,
Not Napoli.
Napoli.
Like Monopoly.
Like Monopoly, yeah.
Like Monopoly.
That's
Okay,
what they used to
Monopoly.
they used to try and like make fun of me in school and call me Catherine Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Really? Do you idiot third graders know what you're talking about? A
No.
monopoly is a good thing. Anyway.
All right. So in our studio, no Digby today, but we do have Booger and Mortimer Barnabas.
That's right.
He's eating my notepad. He's eating my corgi face notepad. And we have Hammer popping in from time to time.
Yes.
And we often get asked, people say, we want a corgi. Where should we start? And we're so glad that you come to us with this. I tend to tell people the good, the bad, and the ugly. They are wonderful pets, of course. I've had 7 over 17 years, and I have 4 currently, and I always will have them. Cat has 1. Digby's worth about 4 by himself.
What? Yes, he is worth about 4 corgis, 7 cats, and 2 3-year-olds.
He's
and
a
a partridge
handful.
in a pear tree. Yes.
But to that point, corgis are not a background dog. So
No.
I tell everyone, they are a working breed. More often than not, you will get a corgi that's very high energy.
Yes.
As such, they do need a job. They need a lot of interaction. They need a lot of training. They are easy to train because they are smart. But there are a lot of things that go into that. Part of it is mindful training, mindful home environment when you get them. The other is where you get them.
Right. And that's huge. The where you get them is huge. And we've done shows on, we're talking to Tawny at Shade Out DM all the time, and we're doing shows on DM, and we had a little DM shirt. But that's one of many issues that can happen with a corgi.
They don't test before breeding.
That is not tested. Yes.
Prime example for sure. Temperament too.
Yes.
But there are some wily breeders out there that don't follow the rules or like the money that corgis bring or various things. But we have had Melissa Terzis from East Coast Corgi Rescue on our broadcast before, and I love her philosophy on rescue and that the dog needs you more than you need the dog. And so they're all about mindful placement. And if it's hard for others to understand, it's because they have a selective process, because corgis can be a handful. And especially if they're in rescue,
yes,
they're being placed because they are a handful or too much for someone else. So they have been facing a deluge of post-COVID puppies, and people can't handle them. And so I thought we would bring Melissa on back and talk about kind of what rescue is facing right now. Should we bring her back?
Absolutely.
Melissa, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
And I'm going to start with arguing with you. I think our pets rescue us. I think our pets definitely rescue our little hearts.
Of course they do, but you still need to be the right person.
You do need to be the right person. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is where Melissa comes in.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you we know it's very late tonight where you are, so we thank you so much for your time to come back and talk about this. But I wanted to talk about recently, East Coast Corgi Rescue. You all had posted about how you're a little overwhelmed right now. You're having quite a few owner surrenders and intakes, and we'd love to hear, we talk about mindful breeding and where you get your dogs, and you should really think long and hard about why you want a corgi before you get one so that you're not faced with this. Of course, there are other things that are out of control, but we just wanted to hear you talk about what's going on right now, how you think we got here, and just kind of take us through that, and also how we can help.
Okay. I can tell you how we got here.
Yes.
People are entitled and selfish.
I like it. I like your directness.
That is a thing that happens. Yep.
I want what I want. I don't care if you won't give it to me. I'm going to go wherever I can to get it. And when I don't want to deal with it anymore, it's not my problem. And I'm going to dump it on a rescue or a shelter.
Goodness.
And that
Yeah.
is what's happening. And that's as succinct as I can be about it. This is as bad as I think anyone has ever seen it. So I've been in rescue for 5 years. My dogs before were both rescues. One was truly a stray on the street. The other one came through a rescue organization in Atlanta. And I got loosely involved with some of them and started to see kind of how they operate and how things go. And I believe for many, many years that there are no bad dogs. There's only bad people and bad owners.
Yeah.
And I have been eating those words the last 6 months to a year because, when anything happens, everybody does one thing and then they all acclimate and do something else. And it doesn't matter what that is. Right. So COVID happened and everybody constricted and thought, all right, we're home. How long are we home for? And then 6-8 weeks later, it's like, we're home for a while. Let's get a dog. And then people went and got dogs. And it's not just necessarily like a corgi issue, but a lot of the full breed rescues are also dealing with the same kind of issue. So, you have people that are opportunists that were on the fringes of the good breeding, world, and, backyard breeders, pet stores. It's just unbelievable. And people became so focused on, in our area in DC, the Amish are a huge, breeder. They are a backyard crappy breeder of corgis almost without fail. I hate to paint with a broad brush, but maybe there's a couple of them that are okay and are doing testing. But for the most part, it's all about the money. And the reason that we know this is because they sell all the males. They keep a couple of the breeding females and they all trade around and share the same, 1 or 2 stud dogs. And we suspect that a lot of these dogs the bloodlines aren't tracked. So we don't actually know that they're far enough away in bloodline. And then the other problem that we are seeing is they're being sold at 6 to 7 weeks old. Whereas your good breeders have morphed from keeping them. It used to be 8 weeks, then it turned into 9 weeks. Now it's 10 weeks. They will not separate the puppy from the mother before 10 weeks. And so people don't care. They don't give a crap. They just want a corgi. And they don't realize that your corgi doesn't even look like a normal corgi should. Your corgi doesn't act like a normal corgi. You may as well have gotten a garden gnome because it's not a corgi. So this is what we're dealing with. And we closed our surrenders. We just shut it down. We said our mental health is becoming an issue for us. We're exhausted. There's 5 of us who are on the board, but then there's a whole crew of dozens and dozens of fosters, and basically almost all of the fosters without fail are like, we want to go on vacation this summer. We're tired of having aggressive dogs. We're tired of having quirky dogs, tired of dogs where you walk in the room and they lunge at you. And that's what they're dealing with. So we decided to shut it down. And some of the surrenders that we're even getting, where people are messaging us now and trying to circumvent the process, you're hearing these stories and you're just you're exactly the reason why we closed the surrenders for a couple of months. We have to catch up. We have to do right by the dogs that we have right now in the rescue. Yeah. And if everybody honestly wasn't so selfish and instant results and demanding what they want now, this wouldn't have happened. And people don't care. They don't give a crap. So they'll just dump it on a shelter. Shelters get county money or state money. They have to take the dogs and most of them turn their back and you never hear from them again anyway. But it's shaken a lot of us in the rescue to our core, because for that first time, you were constantly dog goes out, you look up, a couple more dogs are coming in, they're getting vetted, dog goes out. It's as if we're looking up and there's a herd of them coming at us and there's only 5 of us. So everyone else is in the same boat. We talked to Carolina Corgi Rescue. Their Southeast is their name. They said they're in the same boat. They don't have willing fosters. Every good dog owner already has a dog in the house. They don't have any no dog fosters. They don't have any no dog homes. And it's just we're struggling. There's nobody out there to adopt these dogs, and there's plenty of people that want to dump them.
That's terrible.
And they're just pumping out, these breeders are pumping out more
Mhm.
and more,
And
creating.
yeah. And if people think, well, I've saved one out of the breeder, but you paid him $3,000 for it, you didn't do anything other than guarantee that he's going to breed again.
Right. Yeah, because you've made them money.
Right.
Yeah,
What are the laws in regard to breeding?
So the reason that Pennsylvania and Missouri are the number 1 and 2 puppy mill states is because there's almost no laws to protect dogs there.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. So most of our dogs get traced back to one of the 2 states. Pennsylvania, I reported a breeder to Department of Agriculture, which oversees, breeders, and anything under 25 dogs on the property is considered like a hobby breeder or something, and they're not subject to a license.
Mm.
So there's just
as
not.
long as you keep 25 dogs or less,
Mhm.
you're protected.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So, which, if they've only got 3 or 4 breeding dogs, then that's pretty much, they're always going to be under the 25, regardless of the size of the litter. So,
Sure.
I mean, even like, honestly, like Craigslist, for as sloppy as they are, does a great job shutting down all those advertisements. Facebook won't even do that. Like, Facebook has backyard breeder groups with people just, selling corgis. And it's, you see it. And if you say anything, you get kicked out of the group or blocked. And then you can't even see the group anymore. And if you try to report it to Facebook, as much as Facebook has loved to be big brother and to, if you write anything in a comment that says like, oh, I was so mad I wanted to punch my brother in the face, they will lock your account down for 30 days and ban you, but they don't give a crap if there's all these backyard breeders in these groups. It's like, it's mind-blowing that this is like the world we live in, that nobody wants to protect them. Nobody wants to protect these animals. It's really sad.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is on our broadcast. We try to be that's one of the biggest things we want to do here is help guide people. Because, and you and I have talked about this, Melissa, that when I had my first corgi, nobody knew what a corgi was.
Right.
And, people say, what kind of dog is that? And then it's probably been about the last 10 years or so, maybe a little less, 8 to 10 years, that they've really blown up in popularity.
Yes.
And there are a lot of positive things with that, but there are also some negative things. And part of that is that breeders see him as a cash cow. So the best thing we can do is try to guide the audience. You like corgis, please listen to us. Please watch, please listen, please research. Please, what we tell you, I always say I will never allow us to be incentivized by any kennel or breeding program, because I don't want that collusion.
No, not at all.
We're here to give you I could tell people who I like, but and tell you why, but we want to tell you that insist on testing, insist on bloodline lineage, insist on the documentation, but also do your research beforehand. Corgis are wonderful. They're amazing dogs. They may not be right for you in your home. We can tell you why. There are lots of corgi enthusiasts that if you just like them, you can go to the meetups and play with them. And we would love for you to pet them and play with them, but maybe you don't need one for your home. I tell people they're a full-time job.
They are.
They're not a background dog. You want a lap dog that hangs out and you take cute pictures every now and then, take them on a walk. No.
Yeah.
The corgi becomes your life. They're a child.
Pretty much. For Digby, I work from home and he is under my desk constantly. So, he's calm. No, I cannot pee, ladies and gentlemen, cannot pee without him, right there.
He's a companion.
But, and I love him, and when I needed someone in the house, there he was. And now I'm 2 years out from my husband passing. You don't get rid of the dog, ladies and gentlemen. You don't like go, oh, he drives me crazy, he's gone. You don't do that. I will say occasionally he gets threatened with, you're going back to other mommy.
I kept the receipt.
You're going back to other mommy, but he comes here anyway to play. So, but
She tried to pawn him off on me tonight. I should have brought him, left him overnight.
Well, you're coming to my house tomorrow, so there you have it. But seriously, any animal, and we hear this, of course, we're talking about corgis, and we hear this at Easter time. oh, let me get the kids a bunny rabbit. And then how many
Mhm.
bunnies are, left to rescue?
And with Digby,
Yeah.
he was a surrender. He didn't go to the shelter. He wound up finding me because people will, hey, there's a corgi that needs a home, and not quite to your level of what you're dealing with, Melissa, but people do. Oh, there's a corgi that needs a home, and then at a certain point, I go, my house is full. I can't take anymore. But Digby, that
Yeah.
they had some health issues as well, but he was also just too much for them. They were old, elderly couple, and
Right.
he's working breed, and he's a lot, and so I had to work with them quite a bit on training because I was familiar with corgis and the kind of training they need, and and he still is a lot, and that's such a huge problem. So I say that to say, how can we help East Coast Corgi Rescue? We've talked about this. How can we help rescue groups?
Legally, because I have things going through my brain right now. So legally, how can we help you?
Not the Italian mafia
Not
way,
the
Pat.
Italian mafia way.
I would be in that car with you. I would love it.
I like her for a reason.
Right? She's our people.
She's our people.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to dial back.
Yeah.
This I want it because I want it culture. I cringe when we have adopters who are going to have kids in a few years and say that on their application. They're a lot of dog for somebody that is, say, 18 to 24 years old, which are very pivotal and years in your life where you have so much change.
Mhm.
And then 24 to 30, you might have a job, or you're working, or you're settling down, and you're getting married, and you're thinking about having kids. A lot of these dogs are not good with kids. So there's like such a shrunken pool of like a perfect home for a corgi, right?
Yeah.
And that's not all dogs, but that's these dogs in rescue. And when people have little kids and they say, well, how can we get a corgi? I mean, you should go to a good breeder and get one, honestly. Like, we're not anti-breed, and they say that. And it's like, we're not anti-breeder. We love good breeders. Like, we know of the good breeders around here, and we would absolutely advertise them. But they say, no, we can't take any more people because we don't have enough dogs for them. But, I don't know. How do you make people really realize, like, either they're not at the right stage of life for this kind of dog, or this dog is way too much work and way too demanding for you when you have social media in people's faces? And I mean, we had somebody that tried to surrender the other day and circumvent the system, and the woman drove me absolutely nuts because she changed her mind. We counted 7 times. Like, I'm surrendering, I'm not surrendering. And in her surrendering emails, she was saying, we're not even a dog family. We don't even really like dogs. Why did you get him? They got him at a pet store. There's so many things wrong with this. I don't know how to fix this though, you guys. Like, I don't know, other than telling people that everyone's
Awareness.
selfishness now created so many dogs in the system. It's not just corgis.
Right.
The shelters are overrun. A woman at a shelter in North Carolina posted something today. I had gotten a corgi mix from her before I even started the rescue, when I was just doing it, like, for myself and my friends. And she's like in tears because they sent a dog home with somebody, and the people had, literally like a dog and pony show come through their house to meet the new dog. And it was just too much for the dog. And finally somebody came over, and the dog, I guess, snapped or snarled or something, and they returned it to the shelter.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then she said, and I sent her the 3-day, 3-week, 3-month thing, like, it takes them 3 months to realize, like, this is home and I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're still like living creatures, and they have feelings, and they've got, emotions and feelings, and they notice things, and they'll be your best friend and your most loyal companion, but you got to put a little bit into it too.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
it's, you've got to do your research. You've got to stop supporting backyard. Like, if people could just stop supporting backyard breeders, they would all go out of business. They would stop doing what they're doing. And then we could actually have like a more normal system here,
Manageable level. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's people that get mad that they're not going to get a corgi, and they would rather pay a backyard breeder $3,000. They're actually up to $5,000 in some cases, which is more than the legit breeders are.
Right.
So you're paying there's a pet store here that's charging $5,000 for a pet store corgi, which came from Missouri, which you could probably buy from them in Missouri for $700. And people don't get it. They just
And
want what
most
they
of the
want.
pet stores don't. Those breeders aren't necessarily legitimate
No.
either. You're not sure what you're
No.
getting. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I've talked to
Not-
people who have purchased pet store dogs before, and they've done their genetic testing, and comes to find out they're like 3 different mixes or
Yep.
something when they were supposed to be purebred, or maybe just one mix. And
Yep.
yeah,
And and then what do? You if you give up the dog, oh, I wanted a pure breed corgi, I wanted a pure whatever, you give up the dog. You can't give up the dog. You're going to sue the pet store. The pet store is going to say we didn't know. It's I personally wonder, and Melissa, you and I think alike. This one, she's very kind. I like. Can't we blast this on on social media?
awareness is what we can do.
Awareness. I mean, just the awareness of.
So viewer, listener, please share this episode.
Absolutely.
Not only because we like your like and subscribing, but this is an important message. We want as many people to know as possible. And kind of piggybacking on what you're saying, Kat, that there's a multifaceted problem as to why shelters and rescues are full. You have the people that, like Kat, was saying, is you do get people that have very superficial reasons as to why they decide not to keep the dog. But you also have the ones where we really need rescues for health issues. Can't keep the dog because they've been handed with a terminal illness.
Digby is a prime example. Digby's original mom messages me constantly. She sends me pictures of
Checking
Digby,
on him,
of Digby when he was a puppy.
She loves him, for sure.
She absolutely loves him. Could not keep him.
Right.
There was a health issue going on in the family, and the focus had to be there. I get it.
Yeah. Well, and then sometimes you don't know how it's going to go, right? You don't know what the ending's like. You don't know.
Yeah.
That's going to take all of your resources and students. And we don't want to shame anybody for that, because that, of course, is perfectly acceptable.
That's right.
But it starts at the beginning when you make the decision to get a dog, that you are your reasons correct? Is it companion? Is it because you thought they were cute on Instagram? It's not a good reason.
Yeah, just because the queen has corgis, ladies and gentlemen,
she has a whole staff.
She has a whole staff. Yes, she does personally feed
trainers.
Them. She does personally interact with them, but she has a staff.
Right. Yeah. It starts at the beginning, and we have the legitimate reasons as to why dogs have to be rehomed. But it starts with, if they are poorly bred, they're not bred for temperament, they're not bred for health, they're bred for money.
Yeah.
You have the inbred, they're incredibly hard to train. So you have that multifaceted problem on all of those reasons, but as well as why the dog is not working out in your home. You're both miserable. The dog's miserable because you don't know how to give the dog a good life, but you're also miserable because the dog's making your life miserable. It's, not just the breed is a handful. Yes, you definitely want to be prepared, but also you tag that on top of poor breeding practices.
Yes.
Right.
You have a dog that is aggressive or has poor temperament because there probably are a couple wires touching that shouldn't be. It wasn't bred well if it's inbred, right? I mean, that's part of it. And then if you're not prepared for it, you have this dog that needs just immeasurable amounts of attention and focus.
Right.
That would be hard for even the most attentive, what's the word I'm trying to say? Attentive owners.
Right.
The most attentive owners would give. It's even more for them. And it starts there. So I would say, with the rescue, we say, how can we help? And we've talked about this before, Melissa, that it's not that we need to get these dogs adopted out. And I was raised with that mindset. The shelters are full. Don't get a puppy from a breeder because you need to adopt a shelter dog. Well, that's kind of a cut and dry delivery of a very pragmatic issue, right? That's not the case. Absolutely rescue. When someone says adopt, don't shop, I said, yes, rescue if you can, please do. But same thing. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared? Why do you think they're in the shelter?
We have, and we record obviously some shows up ahead, and today we recorded another amazing trainer. Please look at our previous episodes. If you ended up with a dog, if you're thinking of getting a corgi, take a look at our episodes with the trainers. See what you're in for. Get in touch with these people.
They deal with those problems.
They are lovely, lovely, lovely people who will tell you what kinds of things you're going to deal with. And if you've gotten into this situation, or I'm going to say, if you know somebody who got into this situation, because chances are you're not watching our podcast. If you know somebody who got into the situation, please reach out to us. We can give you the names of some trainers that they can talk to. Like, your kid misbehaves. Do you put your kid up for adoption? Well, some people do.
Yeah, they might.
No, seriously. Do your kid misbehaves? This is your child. You always wanted a child. My niece, I kid around with her. She had in vitro. She has twins. They're gorgeous. They're wonderful. They're 10 years old. You know what a 10-year-old could be like. And two of them. And she just looks at them and she shakes her head sometimes because it's overwhelming to have children. And I go, you paid a lot of money for those kids. I'd suggest keeping them around. It's a joke, but unfortunately, it's not a joke when it comes to animals, and you are bearing the brunt of it. And
it's a life. Yeah, it's a life. And the other thing to be mindful of people like Melissa here that are just doing this kind of work, taking care of these animals and advocating for them. You are taxing their situation. You, Melissa, and your staff, you have a family, you have families, you have other things, you have jobs, you have mortgages, you have complex problems just like every other human. And now you're dealing with this. And that's the other thing that kind of gets missed as well. When you make a decision of this magnitude, it's a ripple effect. It affects so many other people. The animal, we tend to put the animal first here because we're animal centric, but it's not just that. A lot of humans deal with this fallout as well. And my point with the rescuing, we always say rescue if you can. But if you want a puppy from a breeder, it's okay. Like you were saying, just please do the research on the breed.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. Reach out to people that have had the type of dog you like. Ask them about the temperament. Find out about the kind of health problems they can have, and if the breeder does anything to circumvent that before breeding. Ask about lineage. Make sure that you're getting bloodlines. I mean, the good breeders have champion bloodlines. Our friend Robert went all the way to the Ukraine before all this happened and got taken. These Russian bloodlines, and the thing is they're supposed to be really good in temperament, conformation. They're supposed to be healthy and live very healthy lives harmoniously. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that for a good breeder. So it's not just having puppies, but we ask you, audience, please reach out, do the research, and adopting does help, but there's a lot that goes into that, which is why East Coast Corgi Rescue has choosy. That's mindful decisions. Just because you want to rescue a dog doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a dog. And from what I understand, part of the problem too is a lot of them are so reactive and not dog friendly, and a lot of it is people that rescue and foster have other dogs.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's part of the big problem about it. How do you place a dog that can't be around other dogs when the people that normally love dogs have several?
Yeah, well, and I think you saw it, but we put up a post a couple weeks ago. It was like mid-May, asking for no dog homes, and I think you commented on it. But we got annihilated from people saying maybe you should open up your geographic boundaries. There's your entitlement again. There's freaking 5 of us who don't get paid for this. Like, we do rescue events. We buy our own lunch. Like, we don't take 1 penny from this rescue, and we make no money to do this. And we spend each of us probably spends 20 to 30 hours a week on the side, chatting, messaging, picking up dogs, coordinating transports. It's like, I don't know who some of these people think they are, but they're like, you should go to this state and you should go to this state. And it's like, who's going to get that dog back to me when you decide that you don't want it anymore? Like, you'll dump it at a shelter in upstate New York, and then we've got to drive 10 hours to go get it. But it's like, people just don't get it. And that's the other really hard part is like, if you don't like our rules, open your own rescue. Let's see how it goes for you.
Right.
But
perspective is everything. Perspective is everything.
Yeah. And I think that unfortunately, like, that post, like, even some of our like more thick-skinned people in the rescue said, I've lost all faith in humanity. Like, this problem's so much bigger than us, and I don't know how we fix it. And it's unfortunate because there's just way more dogs than people can help.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to say it's an unsolvable problem because that is just so depressing. And
Well, fixing people is harder.
yeah, fixing
Yeah.
and yet that, so if you're going to go for a dog, like, really question yourself. What can you be with this dog? Can a- ask yourself the hard questions. I mean, the really hard questions. And if you're even slightly, I don't know, superficial, if you're the person who says, I had to break up with her or him because the gum chewing was just driving me crazy, please, for the love of all that is holy, do not adopt an animal. And I
I
really
feel
steer.
strangely called out right now.
I, no. But you,
Okay, I have a better one. If you
Yeah.
created an Instagram for a dog you don't have yet, then don't get a dog.
oh my
Don't get a
gosh.
dog. But that's what all
No.
these people want, is they want a famous corgi and they want to have Instagram accounts for them. And it's crazy.
Yeah, we talked to Jerry of Three Crazy Corgis, and she's
Yes.
kind of an influencer, and we did a whole episode on that, on
Yes.
social media and your corgi, and she had good advice because she was kind of an accidental influencer. She's like me; she's multiple corgis over and over again, and she just grew in popularity. And she tells everybody, when you want social media for your pet, ask your why. Is it that you're trying to why are you trying to build your following? Is it because you love your pet and you want to share their magic with everyone? That's a great reason. If it's another reason, maybe think about it a little bit before you do it. And it was a good point. But I'm glad you brought that up. I want everyone listening, following. We know this is not easy to hear, but as you can tell, this is very hard. This is very hard for the people. It's taxing everyone to their limits who are there and want to help. And the way you can help, dear viewer, dear listener, is please be mindful of where you get your dog.
Yep.
And tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell people that maybe aren't going forth with a full head of decision. Oh, this is great. They're impulsive and make decisions. Please tell them. Say, look, I have resources for you. Please consider this. It's obviously, like I said, we always put the animal first, but a lot of people feel the fallouts of decisions that are not made fully mindful. Do you think that kind of covers it, Melissa? Is that so
Yeah,
we can
I
get it
feel
out?
like, that episode of Seinfeld where George Costanza's father has Festivus where they air the grievances. I feel like
Yes.
that's
For the
me
rest of
right
us.
now. I got a
Right.
lot of problems with you people.
Yeah. But
And well,
Yeah.
you should. And well, you should. So
it needs to be heard. And
Yeah.
that's what I say. And it's, that anger comes from a place of hurt and stress and, again,
Yeah.
your mental health. And
Yeah.
that's
None of us are mad about the time we spend doing this. We're, as I said to the board 2 nights ago, I said, I feel justified in us taking a break because my job is to rescue corgis, whether I get paid for it or not. Is, that's I'd still call it a job. That's my calling. It's to rescue corgis. My job is not to help people undo their stupid decisions. And that's what it feels like we've been doing for the last year and a half.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's the thing. That's why I say but you jab at me a little bit for being kind. I just use softer language typically because to get people to listen sometimes, like you were saying, some of your audience, you kind of felt like you lost some of them, even though they're used to it. You have to have that open mind and perspective and know that hurt, that anger comes from a place of love. If there wasn't so much love and dedication, you'd be like, all right, we'll just put them down. We'll take them to the kill. If you didn't care, you would find a solution that was horrible. Right.
Yeah.
But you're not like that. It comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of dedication and wanting to do right by the animals. And what we can ask is that that everyone has that same open mind and perspective and realize there's a reason why people are, people like Melissa are so upset right now because this is quite the rift in a lot of lives, not just the animal, but the people that does it. So,
yeah.
I mean, imagine we talk about, children being shuttled between parents or, unwanted kids or, people don't think that these beautiful, precious animals have the same understanding. Don't fight in front of the kids. The kids are going to know. Don't say this in front of the kids. The kids are going to know. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what, dear viewer, dear listener? The animals know. The animals absolutely know that, you know, you don't want them.
We could
They
go into a
abs-
whole episode
Oh, yeah.
about philosophy and, you know, some of your newer, not newer maybe, but some of like the Western cultures tend to put people first and other lives behind. But some of your older cultures are not like that. We're here to help the animals, and no life is less important than the other. But that is part of that philosophy.
Yep.
and how you do
Unfortunately.
it. But Melissa, thank you so much. We don't
Thank
want to
you.
keep you all
Absolutely.
night. It's late where you are. We want to let you get to your resting. You've had a big
Yes.
day, but thank you for sharing your voice.
Yep,
And
of course.
we will do our best to help spread the word, to say, you know, please be mindful, please be aware, and recognize this is it is hard to hear, but it needs to be heard. And we appreciate
Yes.
everything you're doing, and any way we can help you, please let us know.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on again.
Yeah, of course. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Get
for
some
being here.
rest, lady.
Go get some rest. Yes.
if you can.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, I see another moving episode. Like, I'm
Yes.
so moved.
Yeah. Melissa's absolutely right. And I'm glad she called it out for what it is. It's people being selfish. So, dear viewer, dear listener, we know that you're hanging out with us every Thursday, you know, or whenever you're
I would
listening
like
to
to
our
think
podcast.
most of our listeners.
And I was going to say, I
yeah,
know that you guys are not these people,
You're
but you
corgi
know,
people.
you're
You're like
corgi
us.
people,
Yeah.
or, you know, maybe you're cat people, but you like our show because we're entertaining. Maybe you're German Shepherd people, but you're animal people. You're fur baby people, you're feather baby people.
Yeah.
You guys know the people Melissa's talking about.
Yeah.
Please
share with them.
intervene.
Yeah.
Please share with them. Please let them know that this is totally selfish on their part. It's totally
Well,
inappropriate.
perspective. I think sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you say kind heart, but I try to lead with compassion, and that
Yeah.
most often people know not what they do, and sometimes you have to show them. And so again, this anger comes from a place of hurt,
love.
comes from a place of love, and we wouldn't be in this position if people had some perspective. Like,
Yep.
yes, there's superficialities, there's selfishness, there is that, but there's also just lack of perspective. You know, getting a dog is a big decision, and whatever happens with that dog is going to have a ripple effect, and it's going to affect many different people. And we just wanted you to
Yes.
hear Melissa's story about she and her team, and what they are dealing with, and how, you know, this is how we can help spread awareness. So please, yes, tell your family, tell your friends. If you listen to us, thank you so much. And you probably have a corgi or other dogs, and we know you cherish them, and you can't possibly think what life would be without them. Please make sure that this message gets heard to people that may not be so mindful.
Thank you. Good
Yeah.
night.
Good night. See you next week.